Welcome to another episode of the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey, as always. And for tonight's episode, we are going to start off with a pretty serious topic. Ime Udoka, head coach of the Boston Celtics, will be suspended for the entirety of the 2022-2023 season due to following the violations of team protocols. So I just want to know what's your reaction to this development?
Well, they're following through. He knew what the rules were, and he violated them. He had an affair with one of the women's staff, and that's against the rules of the Celtics. And he got caught, and now he's suspended for a year.
Well, this is the person who was actually replacing Ime Udoka as the interim head coach. He's had his own problems himself with.
Oh yeah.
Back in college, he had a domestic battery. He got arrested for domestic battery because in a bar he grabbed a woman by her neck. He's also had a run-in with something else. He was arrested for something else. But this is just immature. It's indefensible. It's a very dumb act because he knew becoming the head coach of the Boston Celtics or being a part of the Celtics organization, they had a policy against this. No relationships within the organization, because it's not so much about a personal issue, it's a organization issue, right? Because if something goes bad, they could just, sue and say, well, you should have known this was going on. And if it ever turns sour, it's just a bad look for the organization.
Yeah. Plus, he has a family.
Yeah, he has a fiance. He has a child with her.
Two, yeah.
So it's immature on Ime Udoka's part. It's a lack of discipline. He had a relationship with a married woman inside of the Celtics organization.
She was married too?
Yeah, she was married. There was also unwanted advances that actually came out. She reported that there was unwanted advances from Ime Udoka towards another female in the Celtics organization. So this is a bad look for the Celtics right now. Just coming off of one of the best rookie head coach seasons in the entire history of the NBA, going straight to the NBA Finals. And almost, they sort of imploded, but they had a shot at winning the NBA Finals in Ime Udoka's first season as the head coach. I think this is the proper punishment. It's sort of looking like Ime Udoka won't be the head coach next year. That's the way it's leaning, and I think that's what the Celtics would hope.
They're not. They've told him they're not feeling obligated to hire him back.
Right now his future is up for question, but right now the Celtics are only commenting on this year and dealing with the issue that's presented this year. So next year, it's a huge question mark for next year. But there's no reason to defend him. It was an immature act. It's dangerous, at least for the organization-wise, and that's the way the Celtics are looking at it. It's the safety of their organization because it's someone inside, and if the relationship goes bad, there could be accusations, true or false. It's just a bad look for the Celtics in general, and
I give them credit for sticking to their policy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's and a lot to do with like athletes. They feel like, if I made it here, then I'm better than the average person. But no, they're still susceptible to just they're susceptible to anything anyone else is susceptible to. So it includes this. Ime Udoka should have known better. I think the Celtics are right to suspend him for a full year. I don't think there was ever a question mark about whether or not it would be a full season or not. It's just the big question mark is now, what about next year? Is Ime Udoka going to stay with the Celtics? He's going to stay as the head coach. Will the Celtics, make him resign? Will he resign on his own? I think that's what the Celtics were hoping for Ime Udoka to resign on his own, just to make it an easier transition from, a potentially bad situation that he put himself into. This is, there was no, forced behavior here. He put himself into the situation. And it's unfortunate because the Celtics just came off of a great season, and it's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, well, he may resign. Maybe he'll resign, and in hopes of getting an offer from somebody else.
Oh, I'm sure if he hits the open market, he'll probably
get an offer from someone else.
Yeah, I still think he's definitely a great head coach. I mean, his rookie season, they started off like 16-19, and then went like 27-4 to end the rest of the season. So it was a great season for Ime Udoka. He had his defense was number 1 in the regular season. So, I mean, if he does hit the open coaching market, I'd say he's definitely a hot commodity to try to get.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not he can be disciplined when he gets to a potentially new organization, or can he stay disciplined if, the Celtics and him sort of, stay, organizational and not have this break off their relationship between Ime and the rest of the organization. But this is a bad look, I would say, because it's unfortunate. You know, the Celtics right now are favored to win the NBA Finals. I don't know how. I don't know why the Warriors aren't, because they just won the NBA Finals and the Celtics just lost.
That seems odd.
But I think, you know what, can the Celtics overcome a coaching mishap? You know, will they be able to overcome that and, you know, put themselves back in?
I don't know how Missoula, how good he's going to be.
Yeah, that's the big question mark, because I just feel like the Celtics have a lot of talent. But you know what? It's kind of like the thing with the Brooklyn Nets when Steve Nash, a first-time head coach, the Nets didn't look very good. The Nets haven't, you know, made it to an NBA Finals. They had Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and now they have Ben Simmons to deal with. So it's
I don't know what the chemistry is going to be like there because of all the things that Durant said in the offseason.
Right.
He beat up on the coaching staff and the general manager.
Well, Kyrie Irving originally said with Steve Nash is that they don't even need a head coach. So they started off on the wrong foot. So it's definitely a question mark. And Ime Udoka actually came out with a statement. This is not the right one, but Ime Udoka came out with a statement where he talked about it. He says, "I want to apologize to our players, fans, the entire Celtics organization, and my family for letting them down. I'm sorry for putting the team in this difficult situation, and I accept the team's decision. Out of respect for everyone involved, I will have no further comment." So I'm glad Ime Udoka is at least accepting that he made the mistake. And who knows at the end of all this where, you know, the parties will end up in the very end. So that's...
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait a year to see.
Yeah, but do you think the Celtics have even a sniff of a shot at going back to the NBA Finals without Ime? Because I think it'll be very, very, very difficult for that to actually happen.
I think it will be very hard, too.
So if you were to give a percentage chance, just pulling it out of the air...
I think they had an 80% chance to get back to the finals.
Oh, yeah, probably, yeah.
Now I think it's probably more like 60.
You still got them over 50%.
Yeah, they have a great talent. They have great talent.
No, I'll give you that. They do. It's just
I think they improved their team with that point guard. Unfortunately, what's his name? The shooter that they what's his name? They got from Arizona.
They talk about Danilo Gallinari.
Yeah, he's not even going to be able to play at all this year.
Well, he tore his ACL. I told you that last show actually that he tore his ACL. But if I had to put a number, or not a number, but if I had to put a percentage chance, I guess a number, I would probably put them at a. Without Ime, knowing how Ime rallied the team and had a huge emphasis on defense, and their defense was number one in the league, I'd probably put them at like a 45% chance. It's just because I feel like you can't really replace the, you know, the dedication and the passion that Ime brought to the team. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how the season turns out. Let's move on to yesterday's game. That's gonna be our next topic. Oh. Yesterday's game. What a game. We had a tremendous catch from George Pickens, a rookie. But talking about the end or just the entire game, the Steelers could not stop Nick Chubb in the least. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt were running all over the field. Mitch Trubisky was still making some pretty good throws. I think that, you know, he was playing very, very well. There was a couple very nice catches by Deontay Johnson, who sadly dropped a lot of passes in that game. But he made a really, really good catch. But there was one by George Pickens. I think we have the clip up here, if I'm not mistaken. Here it is. People are comparing this catch to Odell Beckham Jr.'s catch back in 2014. I mean, that is a tremendous grab, to say the least. Reaching back is a tremendous focus, keeping his eye on the ball.
And hanging on to the ball when he hit the ground. I mean, he hit the ground hard, right? Look at that.
Absolutely. Bang. And this is Odell's catch now. Do you think that George Pickens' catch is better than Odell's catch in 2014?
Yes.
You think? Why so? There's a comparison between
because it's a harder catch.
Really?
Yeah. He reached back over it was out of his line of sight.
Right.
At least Beckham, when on his catch, the ball was in his line of sight. This one, he had to turn his head way around. Look at that.
It's a great catch nonetheless. I'm going to give it to Odell. And the reason why I'm going to give it to Odell is I think we have the clip here. George Pickens wasn't pass interfered with.
Watch this. He's got the ball. He sees the ball all the way across his head. It goes right in front of his face.
Right. But Odell was pass interfered.
Look, this one.
I see what you're talking about.
And there was contact between the Browns player and him too.
Right. But Odell, there was actually a flag thrown for pass interference on Odell, and Odell caught it with 3 fingers. If you zoom it in, he caught it with 3 fingers.
When he caught the ball, no one was touching him then.
Right.
He ran by the pass interference. The guy interfered with him, and he ran by him, and then the ball came. It went right over his head. He saw it. He reached back and caught it.
Right.
Pickens, on the other hand, was bumping the guy. He was running down. The ball went by him on this side. He looked back and saw it and is able to snag it. I think it's a better. And when Odell went down, he went down on his rear end, right? Well, Pickens came down right by the ball, and he fell much harder than Beckham fell. I think it's a better catch.
I'll give you that.
I think it's a better catch.
Odell's would.
You know what? I think it's one of the greatest catches I've ever seen.
No, it absolutely is, because Odell's catch is considered the greatest catch in NFL history by a lot of people.
Is it? Well, it's New York.
New York's a huge market.
Yeah.
It's
New York.
Not that. I mean, recently it definitely was, because the Giants and Jets seem like decent to good teams.
Oh yeah,
Giants are
Super
2-0.
Bowl teams now, right? Super Bowl.
Jets Giants. I would love to see a Jets Giants Super Bowl. It will never happen. Never happened, but it would definitely be interesting to watch. But yeah, if you're comparing George Pickens' catch to Odell's, you're already comparing it to one of the greatest catches, if not the greatest catch in NFL history. George Pickens, I admit, it was a tremendous catch. I mean, just look at the graphic. He was bending back, tremendous focus on the ball, too.
I don't know how he did it. You know what? You won't see a catch that good again for a long time.
Well, people said that about the Odell catch, and then we had George Pickens over here making catches like that.
Yeah, but how long ago was that?
It was 2014.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder, what did Odell say about it?
Odell was shocked. Yeah, he I'm pretty sure he gave his shocked emotions out on Twitter. My guess is, I think he did respond. I'm not sure what he actually said though, but
that's the catch of the year for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think there'll be a better catch than that this year.
And it sucks because it was so early on. But that also means that there's a lot more contenders possibly down the line. Because this was week 3. Yeah. We have another 14 weeks of potential catches that could pass it.
Yeah.
But I think it's very, very close to Odell's. I'm still going to put Odell's on top just because he was being tugged at, grabbed at. And I'm pretty sure, Eli Manning threw the ball, so I'm sure it was a helicopter throw, knowing how Eli Manning throws the football. It was probably spinning out left, right, over, down, So, no, it was an absolutely great catch.
They're both great catches.
Oh, absolutely.
I happen to think this one was a little tougher.
Another thing is that Odell's was actually a touchdown.
Yeah, well.
And Odell actually had to come from out of bounds back inbounds because he was being pass interfered with. But George Pickens, if I had to probably list top 3, I would instantly put that in my top 3 just because
he's a first-round draft pick. Right?
He is a first-round draft pick, yeah.
It was a good pick.
CeeDee Lamb last year.
Did he have any other catches in the game? I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, what, great catches or just catches in general?
Just catches. Did they let him play? I hope they let him play.
No, absolutely. Especially in the preseason and in camp, he was making tremendous plays. There was a clip of him. It wasn't even like a passing play. I'm pretty sure it was a run blocking play, and Pickens had an assignment on a wide receiver. He just shoved the guy, and the guy flew backwards. So Pickens seems like a pretty strong receiver, and then. I mean, it'll be interesting. It sucks that Mitch Trubisky's throwing it to him because he's not the greatest of quarterbacks. But if he was able to put that.
He has Johnson is a good receiver too. So Pittsburgh has with this guy and Johnson
and Chase Claypool.
Yeah, and Claypool too. They should be throwing the ball more.
But they also have Najee Harris, who's a pretty good running back.
Yeah, so
from Alabama.
I'm surprised they lost last night. I was picking them to win.
That game was very, very weird.
You know what?
Steelers defense.
It was my mistake because they never win without T.J. Watt.
So, it's hard to win without T.J. Watt because T.J. Watt's your number one guy on defense. He tied Michael Strahan last year for most sacks. I think he played like a game or two less than Strahan did because I think he missed a couple games last year. So it was very, very impressive. But this game in general, they just could not stop the run. Even when there were 2 bodies on Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb would just keep gaining yards. It was a thing of beauty because Nick Chubb right now, he has the most 100-yard games since entering the league. And that's above Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry over the past, not this year because he's starting off pretty bad this year, but the past couple years, Derrick Henry's been looking tremendous. So Nick Chubb right now, I always had him in my top 5 of running backs. I'm putting him into my top 3 now.
Yeah.
But it's definitely it's
Pittsburgh's run defense isn't very good. The Patriots ran the ball well against them too.
yeah. Well, I mean, Damian Harris, he started off well. It's just, can he continue with this season? He's playing for a contract this year. This is his last year with the Patriots.
Yeah.
And knowing Bill Belichick, I think he'll be gone by he'll either get traded or he'll be gone by the end of this year because Belichick does not pay big contracts to even people who deserve it. But that's me. So we're gonna move on. We're already getting into our week 3 picks already. So let's hop straight into the picks.
0 for 1 already.
Yeah, we start off 0 for 1. That's the catch from what's his name?
Let it play
George
through
Pickens.
here again.
You want to play it again? No,
Look, the ball over his head.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even could hardly see it.
Right. It's tremendous.
And the a lot of contact with the defender.
And this is Odell.
And look at this.
Odell's being grabbed at. He couldn't.
Yeah, but now he's free, and the ball went right over his head. He
caught
saw
it with
all
three
the way.
fingers. He caught it with 3 fingers. How many guys can you see catch a football with 3? Look at that. He caught it with 3 fingers. His pointer, his middle, and his thumb.
Yeah, it's a great catch.
Both of them
No
are
doubt
tremendous
about it.
catches. Both of them are tremendous catches. Let's get on with our picks actually right now. If I can
Okay.
bring this up. Yeah, here we go right now. Let's bring up the slideshow. Here we go. That's Ime Udoka, and there it is. We're going to choose your picks this time. Just let's start with your picks.
Okay, I picked the Steelers, and that wasn't such a good pick. It wasn't even the point spread. It was way off the point spread too, right?
Yeah. It was 29 to, 14, I think.
I'm picking the Saints. I think that'll be a close game. In the division, I think Carolina plays pretty well generally. And poor Baker Mayfield hasn't won a game yet with Carolina.
Right.
He hasn't played that poorly either, right? He's played okay.
No.
So,
Well, I mean,
Jameis Winston,
Oh.
Jameis Winston threw 3 interceptions last game.
right.
Right? The Saints have probably a better defense than what happened to my picks.
Sorry. It's you're up to the Panthers. Yeah, Panthers. And the Saints.
I need to see them before.
I'm getting them. Don't worry.
Yeah.
There.
There we go. So
It's
I think the Saints.
Texas
I think the Saints are going to win anyway. Jameis Winston maybe only turns the ball over twice instead of 3 times
right.
in this game. Then I'm picking the Bears over the Houston. Houston's a little better than I thought, right? They're in
Absolutely.
the games, right?
Right.
But the Bears, I think they played okay so far, and
Okay.
yeah, they won their first game.
Right.
I guess that was the weather had a lot to do with that game.
I think so.
Second game they weren't so hot against Green Bay, but Green Bay's a good team, much better than Houston. So I think Chicago will pull this one out.
Right.
And then Kansas City's gonna. I think they will demolish the Colts.
The way the Colts are playing, I completely agree with you.
I don't know what's wrong with Matt Ryan. He's just played very poorly.
Yeah, there's
And I don't
something
know,
wrong.
Jonathan Taylor, I didn't hear anything about him. Is he up there in the?
He's not having a tremendous impact on games. I mean, he has a couple very, very, I should say very good, but he's had a couple very impactful games, but it's nothing like last year. Last year was, I think he had like 1,800 rushing yards or something like that.
Yeah. So I think the Chiefs will win that game. And then Buffalo, Miami, a lot of talk about this game, the way Miami started out. Their offense is high-powered. They have great wide receivers. Tua seems to be throwing the ball a lot better than anybody thought. But they're going to be running up against Buffalo's defense, which is all-world. Unbelievable. Demolishing people. I just think Buffalo will be too much for them. And Buffalo's offense is good, too. Josh Allen's been having a very good year.
I will say
he's got
this,
some
though.
very good receivers, too.
I'll say this about the Bills, though. The Bills will be without Micah Hyde, their safety, for this game. So
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle may be able to feast, but who knows?
And then I'm going to go with the Lions now. They've got great. They seem to have a very good offense.
Yeah.
And the way the Vikings played on Monday night against the Eagles, they were terrible, pitiful. And Kirk Cousins turning the ball over.
3 turnovers in the second half.
Not good.
It was bad.
Yeah, and I like Jared Goff. I'd like to see him do well, and have a winning season.
You would hope.
I would like to see that.
I do it more for Detroit though.
Yeah, and Detroit's got a lot of points there too. So
they lead in offensive points scored this year.
Yeah. Okay, I have to pick the Patriots because they're my team. So I think it'll be very tough to beat the Ravens. At least they're playing at home, and this is their home opener, so they'll be charged up for that. I think it will be a reasonably close game, although the Patriots against Lamar Jackson has not been very good in the past. They haven't been able to contain him.
Cam Newton did beat them, though. Cam Newton did beat them.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Cam Newton, though. So Mac Jones might have a shot.
Maybe. I think that it's really the Patriots' defense in this game. Can they contain Lamar Jackson? And that's going to be very hard to do, I think, because I think he's a exceptional player. Okay, the Bengals against the Jets. A lot of people hoping the Jets are going to win. It's a New York team, so they're probably headed to the Super Bowl in most analysts' minds now in the New York area, but I don't think they're going to win on Sunday. I think the Bengals, who haven't won a game yet, aren't going to let it happen again, even though they're playing at the Jets. I think the Bengals' offensive line has been a sieve. Poor Joe Burrow has been sacked. How many times now? He got sacked 13 times in 2 games. That's pretty bad.
On pace for over 100 sacks this year.
He's just not going to survive that. They have to find a way to fix that.
I'd say.
And I think the Bengals have they got a defense that can stop the Jets' offense. So I think it may be reasonably close, although I think the Bengals will cover this point spread. And I'm picking the Bengals. And the Raiders, I've been right so far, Nate. They're 0-2, right? And I think that the Titans are a better team than they showed against the Bills. The Bills just demolished them. And the Bills are they got a team that with a defense that reminds me of the 85 Bears, just in a league of their own. So I wouldn't judge the Titans totally by that one game. And I think that they haven't won a game yet, right? The Titans, they're 0-2.
Yes.
I think
because they lost to the Giants in week 1.
I think they win at home in this game, and I think Derrick Henry comes alive. Washington and the Eagles. I'd rather see Washington win, but I don't think they're going to. The way the Eagles played on Monday night, they're a better team than I thought. They got a good defense. Even Jalen Hurts looks pretty good. I don't think that highly of him, but he looks pretty good. He's throwing the ball well, completing a lot of passes, high percentage completion. Carson Wentz is playing better this year than he's played in a while. He's played well in the last 2 games, first 2 games of the season, and I think the Washington has a decent defense and they have a very good coach. I think this game will be very close. It could go either way, but I'm going to pick the Eagles. The Chargers and Jacksonville. I like the Chargers to win. I think they have a very high-powered offense. They got some big players on defense too. Joey Bosa and what's his name? Yeah, Khalil Mack. I think that they got to be very disappointed the way they played against Kansas City. They could have won that game. What's his name? The quarterback threw a pick 6.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Justin Herbert. And that what did him in. I don't think they'll make those kinds of mistakes this week. I think Jacksonville, they've had some luck here in the early going, and but they beat the Colts. I mean, the Colts are terrible. So, so I think the Chargers are going to win.
Interesting.
L.A. versus the Cardinals. I think this will be a close game. The Rams they don't look like the team I had last year so far. They're really kind of sputtering. Their defense let them down in the Falcons game last week. Let the Falcons back in the game, who made it close. Didn't cover the point spread. But I think that it's a division game. I think the Rams are better than the Cardinals, and will show it on Sunday. The Seahawks and the Falcons, I'm picking the Seahawks only because the Seahawks are playing at home. And I watched the Seahawks in their, was it first or second game? I guess it was just, the first game. Their first game
against the Broncos.
Against the Broncos.
Yeah.
And Geno Smith looked good. I thought he played very well. And I think the Broncos defense is better than the Falcons. So I think the Seahawks will find a way to win that game. Here's a great game. Green Bay against the Bucs. And I'm picking the Bucs because I love Tom Brady. So that's the main reason. And Aaron Rodgers has no luck playing down there in Florida where it's hot and muggy. And I don't think Green Bay will beat the Bucs. San Francisco and the Broncos. I like San Francisco. Jimmy G's at the helm now. They should be on their way to winning the division. Strong contender for the Super Bowl. I'd say the Broncos, the head coach, he's made some kind of weird decisions along the way here so far, and he's kind of learning the ropes of being a head coach, I think. Russell Wilson, quality player, playing well so far this year, but not surrounded by enough tools to beat San Francisco. The Giants and the Cowboys. And, geez, I'm picking the Giants. Only really because they're on a roll. It's a Monday night game. It's at the Giants. The crowd's going to be going wild. And their head coach seems to have the players' attention, and he seems to have the right formula to have the Giants, who aren't, I don't think, really overall are the greatest team out there.
It seems like it
playing
pains
well,
you.
and I think if Dak Prescott was playing, I would have picked the Cowboys.
I probably would have as well.
And I think, Daniel Jones, he's going to make mistakes for sure.
But you're saying that the Giants overcome his mistakes.
I think they'll overcome his mistakes and eke out a victory, although it could go either way. I think it's a very close one.
I think it will be a pretty close one as well.
Yeah. So those are my picks. So far, I'm not doing even 500 on my picks. I'm hoping for a better week this week. I think I know the team's a little better after watching a lot of football the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And we'll see what happens this weekend.
It's going to be a very interesting weekend. Let's move on to my picks, though, because I have some that you guys might be like, what, Nate, what are you talking about? But trust me, I have explanations here. All right, let's start with, obviously, the first L of the week. Steelers. I chose them to win outright. They were plus 4.5 spread. The Browns pulled out a great win, actually. It was a really, really good win. Amari Cooper, another 100-plus game. Jacoby Brissett, you know what? He's not losing them the game. I thought he might lose some games for them, but no, it looks like just hand the ball off to Nick Chubb, hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt, and you will be absolutely fine. And so far, they've been pretty much absolutely fine. The Jets had a great come-from-behind win, but they hung in there with Baker Mayfield, able to win on a 58-yard, boot from their fourth-round draft pick, Cade York. So good for the Browns. But yeah, Steelers, get your act together. You have Najee Harris, Chase Claypool, George Pickens, and Deontay Johnson. You have a great defense. Get your act together.
Well, they didn't have T.J. Watt in
And
there.
it's still got Cam Hayward. Still got Ogunjobi. Yeah. So, I mean, you still got talent. And you also have Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, one thing I didn't say about the Browns, I give that head coach, some credit, right? Because he dealt with all kinds of craziness at the beginning of the year.
Right.
And before they started, didn't know what was going to happen with Deshaun Watson. He was a huge distraction for the team. And he brought him out here, and they've won 2 out of 3.
Yeah, it's impressive. And that's why Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year a couple years ago. So, you know what? He's a good coach. It's just, it's unfortunate that he's put in the situation with Deshaun Watson and Jacoby
What do you think will happen if they wind up winning a lot of games? The schedule's not that tough.
The schedule isn't bad.
And what do you think's going to happen? They win a lot of games with Jacoby Brissett.
I think it'll be the same thing that the Jets. Robert Saleh actually came out today and said, no matter what, I think this is going to happen with Jacoby Brissett and everything. No matter what, 10 games, playoffs, Super Bowl. They're gonna give the job to Zach Wilson in week 4 or 5, whenever Zach Wilson does come back. So Joe Flacco won't be staying, and neither will Jacoby Brissett. Zach Wilson will take his place, and Deshaun Watson will regain his place in week, I believe, 13 against the Texans. So that's what I have to say about that. Let's get on to my picks. Saints at Panthers. I'm not betting on Baker Mayfield this week. He's been very disappointing, and that defense cannot stop the run. Alvin Kamara is questionable for the week, so I do not know if Alvin Kamara will play. If he does, I say this is a blowout. If he doesn't play, Michael Thomas, can J.C. Horn stop Michael Thomas? That's the big question mark. I'm not too sure. I'll still pick the Saints -3 and take the win. The Texans are playing great. Lovie Smith is coaching up a hell of a team right now. Davis Mills, I think right now is better than Justin Fields. I just think the way the defense has kept them in games, the offense is not lacking in the least, basically. Rex Burkhead, the running back for the Texans, he's doing all right. Nothing great, nothing spectacular, but it's good enough. So I think this will be a close game. I say the Texans win. I mean, I don't know what it says about the Colts, but they tied with the Colts, and they were very, very close to winning against the Broncos. I believe it was like 16-9. They could have very much won that game. So I like the Texans. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I'm probably looking at like a 17-14 win for the Texans here, but I'm going to pick the Texans to win and I believe get their first win of the season. The Colts right now are looking horrible. They didn't have Michael Pittman. They still had Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, I have the number right here if I bring it up. I believe he had, if I can get the actual number up, Jonathan Taylor last week had, I believe it was like 46 yards. Yeah, here it is. Jonathan Taylor last week had 54 yards, 1 catch. The week before against Houston, he had 161 yards. So yeah, he did one really good game. Last week against, who did they play last week? Yeah, Jacksonville. 54 yards against Jacksonville. Michael Pittman is expected to play. He had a 100-yard game in the first game of the year against the Texans. I don't like the Chiefs have just been too good. It seems like they're not missing Tyreek Hill in the least. Patrick Mahomes seems to be doing really well with Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, Sky Moore, and McCole Hardman and all their receivers. So I have them winning by more than a touchdown here. I think it's going to be a really good game for the Chiefs. They could very well put up 40 points again, knowing Patrick Mahomes and knowing how bad the Colts have been playing. And Shaq Leonard will be out again this week, missing his 3rd consecutive week. So their defense is going to be crippled for the Colts. So I'm picking the Chiefs to win by a pretty hefty margin, over a touchdown. I'm a little bit nervous about this Bills-Dolphins pick. Seeing Tua put up 6 touchdowns against the Ravens, it didn't look good. Did not look good for the Ravens, and it looked really, really good for Tua because people downing his arm strength, 71% completion percentage, I believe, last week, and the entire season, I believe he has over 70% completion percentage, so he's making very accurate throws.
Throwing the ball down the field, too. He has some long passes.
Well, the long pass, the wide-open Tyreek Hill, though. So, I mean, it's not like it's challenging.
Strength-wise, he's getting the ball down the field.
It's slightly underthrown, but it is getting to them. But the Bills have just been so good. They've been tremendous. Von Miller seems to be, reinvented once again. Their offense looking good. Stephon Diggs looking great. The running game obviously needs work, but you know what? They run the ball just enough, so the passing game isn't the only thing that they do. So I think the Bills win. I think it could very well be a 6-point win. I think they'll barely cover. Even if they don't cover, I'll still take the Bills to win regardless, but that's probably one of my more shaky picks. Bills win over Miami Dolphins. The next pick, the Dolphins. What is going on? What's going on in the Motor City of Detroit?
The Dolphins.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Lions. Yeah. The Lions have been great. Lions have been tremendous. Just look at the Eagles. Eagles looking great. The Lions had a very easy shot at beating them. They just couldn't get in it because they're the Lions, right? But they're playing great. 35 points up against the Eagles.
Their offense is good.
Their offense is good. And they went to town on Washington. Absolutely went to town. I believe it was like a 37-24 win or whatever it was. It was
they were way up, and Washington came back. They
that's
came
true.
Back.
No, but still, the Lions. Kirk Cousins looks bad. He looked bad against the Eagles. It was not good. 3 turnovers in the second half. He targeted Darius Slay, the Eagles cornerback, more than some of his receivers. It was bad. Kirk Cousins looking very, very bad. The Vikings cannot run the ball very well against the Eagles defense, so we'll see up against the Lions. But Amon-Ra St. Brown's looking great, a great pickup for the Lions. DeAndre Swift, he's looking good. Penei Sewell, the offensive lineman, is looking good. Jared Goff, as long as he doesn't throw the game away, I think they can come out with a win, an upset win. But I think it'll be definitely a tight game. Ravens, Patriots. I'm being real here. You're a Patriots fan. I'm a realist out here. The Ravens should win this game by more than 3 points. I don't think the fact that the Patriots are only down or underdogs by 3 points is shocking to me. It is absolutely stunning to me because their offense is super basic. Mac Jones probably will throw another interception. Trent Brown seems he can't pick up an assignment, so we'll see how the rushing do. The Ravens, I don't know if he'll play, but just picked up Jason Pierre-Paul yesterday. And they signed the terms today, so JPP will be on the Ravens this year. I don't think he'll play in this week though. He needs to get acclimated to football play once again. But I don't know how the Patriots pull off this win. Yes, it's still Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick does really well against young quarterbacks, but Lamar Jackson, the first time the Patriots played Lamar Jackson was Week 9 in 2019. And oh my God, did the Ravens absolutely crush Tom Brady and the Patriots. It was an embarrassment. They could not stop Lamar. And then Cam Newton did end up beating them the following year. So that was a little bit shocking that Cam Newton was able to pull out the win against the Ravens. But I just don't see it. The running game doesn't seem like it used to be. Mac Jones, just the offense is a complete mess. The defense seems to be okay. The Patriots were talking with Jamie Collins to potentially bring him back for the third time in his career. So we'll see if Jamie Collins does sign with the Patriots. But the Ravens are going to win this game. My guess it'll be about 10 points. If I had to take a wild guess on it, I just think Lamar will absolutely go to town on the Patriots. Bengals at Jets. I'm buying in. I'm buying into New York football, at least for this week. The Jets look great. The Jets came back in a minute 33 to beat out the Browns. I understand it's the Browns, but the Browns just put up like 30 points for 2 straight weeks. So it's not like they're a lacking team. The Jets, Breece Hall might have a great game. Joe Burrow has looked pretty bad the first 2 weeks. He has 4 turnovers and 3 touchdowns. Not great. Or I should say 4 interceptions because he also has a fumble. 4 interceptions, 3 touchdowns. Not good for the Bengals. Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You know, they got to get something going. But I think the Jets with Sauce Gardner, what's his name, DJ Reed, and Bryce Hall. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have a pretty good game, I think. I'm pretty sure Sauce Gardner will be matched up against Jamar Chase in man coverages. So I'll be very happy to see that matchup, see who wins that. But I think the Jets are going to get an upset win here. I think it's do or die for the Bengals, and I think this time, like you said, the regression from Super Bowl to the next season, right now it's very real for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And I think, you know what, I think the Jets get the upset win here. I think it's do or die, and this time it's going to be die for the Bengals. I have to pick the Raiders again. I have to. After seeing how badly the Bills destroyed the Titans with Stephon Diggs, I can only imagine what Devontae Adams will do as long as Derek Carr will target him. 5 targets Devontae Adams got last game. You need to target him more. Hunter Renfrow will be out for this game, so luckily I'm sure more targets will go to Devontae Adams. I think Derek Carr could win this game. He should be able to win this game. Josh Jacobs, I believe, is limited. He was limited in practice today, so his status for this game is a question mark. But, you know, I like the Raiders. I do like the Raiders. I think the Titans just aren't great right now. As long as, you know what, the offensive line was always the trouble for the Raiders. They lost Alex Leatherwood, their Alabama tackle, their left tackle, who just wasn't very good. They got rid of him. So their offensive line has always been a little bit of a rocky thing over the past couple of years. But I think they get to pull out it's only 1.5, so it's not like, you know, you're betting high. They're not going to dominate this game. So I think the Raiders will get the win here. Eagles, Commanders. This is a division rival game, and the Eagles are getting 6.5. The way the Eagles are playing, I'm going to take them. I don't think Washington... Yes, Carson Wentz does have the second most passing yards in the league right now. Let's stop there and acknowledge that. It's Tua, Carson Wentz, and then Joe Flacco. That's your top 3 for passing yards. This is going to be a very, very weird season. At least that's how it looks in the very, very beginning. But the Eagles look great right now. The running game, they're the number 1 running team last year, and they are this year, it seems. Jalen Hurts, he started off rocky in week 1, but in week 2, amazing completion percentage. You know, A.J. Brown has had a great season so far. Devontae Smith is looking good. I'll take the Eagles to win by 7 or more. I think it's going to be something. A pick that I actually changed today, about 15, 20 minutes before I got the show started. I was thinking to myself, what's Justin Herbert's status? And they had Chase Daniel, I'm pretty sure that's his name, the backup quarterback taking first-team reps with the Chargers in today's practice. Justin Herbert is dealing with, I believe it's a fractured rib cartilage, I believe, if I had that right. So his status is questionable. He probably will play, but Justin Herbert will be probably hurting unless they shoot him up with, so many painkillers he can't even feel his torso, which it might happen, but I don't think the Jaguars will get the win. I think they'll keep it very, very close. I think they do cover the 7-point spread, but the Chargers do end up getting the win. My Harvey hot hand will be coming up very shortly, and spoiler alert, they're going to be a part of it. The Jaguars-Chargers game will be a part of my Harvey hot hand. The Rams versus the Cardinals. The Cardinals were down 20-0 going into the fourth quarter, and I think throughout the fourth quarter they were down 20-0, and they came back. The Rams did not look good. The Rams have looked bad. They almost lost. They were up 28-3 against the Falcons and almost lost that game. I mean, come on. Matt Stafford is sloppy. Very, very sloppy. I believe he has 4 interceptions on the year already. He led the league in turnovers last year, so it's not great for the Rams, but I just think the Rams are significantly the better team. They have a better defense. Their offense should be better. You got Allen Robinson, you got, I don't know if Van Jefferson is healthy, but you might have him back. You have Cooper Kupp still, who I think is I should say right now, because I think Justin Jefferson's the better receiver, but Cooper Kupp last year, over 2,000 yards in the regular season and postseason. There's the better team. What's his name? DeAndre Hopkins is still hurt, or I guess suspended, not hurt, for the Cardinals. I just think the Cardinals are an inferior team to the Rams. I think the Rams win and cover the 3.5 spread. You're doubting the Falcons again. You're doubting the Falcons once again. The Seahawks are not a good team. It was a fluke. That week one was a fluke. You know why? It's because Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson never changed his signs. Tyler Lockett was telling the entire team, when he does this certain sign, this is what that means. So the Seahawks had the upper hand because Russell Wilson never really changed anything about the way he plays. It was just Nathaniel Hackett's not a good head coach either. So at least the way he's starting out, they're already Denver fans are already screaming to fire Nathaniel Hackett through 2 weeks. So I think the Broncos were just inferior that game, even though Russell Wilson was a better quarterback. The Falcons, I thought they were playing for the number 1 draft pick. They seem to be in all these games, and you know what they are. The Saints should have lost in week 1. They somehow came back because, once again, it is the Falcons with a bridge quarterback. And then week 2, Marcus Mariota almost led them to beat the Rams. If it weren't for a Jalen Ramsey interception, they would have came back. They would have reversed history. They were down 28-3. They were on pace to win that game. So I'm taking them to win here. I think the Falcons are actually the better team. I think the Seahawks are only getting the points because they're at home. I'm taking the Falcons for an upset win here. And
you know what? You convinced me. I'll switch my pick back to the Falcons.
You're going to the Falcons?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have to change that then. Yeah. But yeah, you're picking the Falcons. Yeah,
you convinced me.
I think it's a smart pick.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I have a lot of confidence in that pick. That's actually, we'll get to my RB hot hand later. Packers at Bucks. Sammy Watkins is out. It was reported today Sammy Watkins is out for the Packers. And Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are both out for the Bucks. Julio Jones and Russell Gage are both questionable, with Donovan Smith is doubtful. Their left tackle is doubtful for this game with, I believe, an arm injury. So the Bucks, it'll be. I'm now going to officially title this the Battle of Bad Receivers. But the Bucks defense is so much better, I think, than the Packers defense. So I think the Bucks won't keep it as close as the points, but I think they'll come. It'll be a low scoring game. I'll definitely say that it'll be a low scoring game. It might be. You know what? I'm going to say it probably is going to be close just because the offenses won't be as efficient. I mean, midway through the game, the Bucks were losing 3-0 to the Saints. It was due to one great touchdown throw. It was like a 28-yard touchdown throw from Tom Brady to Brashad Perriman that really, started to get the game going there. But you know what? I'm taking the Bucks to win. Brady's a better quarterback. Rodgers is 1-3 against Brady. I think Brady's the better quarterback. They have the better team. Aaron Rodgers has a significantly inferior team. David Bakhtiari might be back for the Packers offensive line. I just think the Bucs are a better team, so I'm going to choose them to win. My, oh my, Jimmy G. He's back. He's back as a starting quarterback, and he will be for the for the rest of the year. So I'm going to pick him because somehow he wins games. That's the one amazing thing about Jimmy G. He wins games. He
looked good last week.
He did. He looked pretty good last week. So I think Nathaniel Hackett right now, horrible. So he's had some very, very bad decisions in his coaching. Wasting time. Peyton Manning called on the Manning cast against I believe it was Seattle. I think it was against Seattle where they had that weird timeout issue. Yeah, where it was caught at a minute and they missed the field goal. That's what it was. Peyton Manning on his Manning cast called 58 timeouts. He kept, calling timeout in his Manning cast before Nathaniel Hackett called one. So his coaching method is weird. So I'm going to pick the 49ers to win here. They are favorited in this game. I just think, you know what? I think Jimmy G does it again. The 49ers have a better team than the Broncos do. Even though the Broncos are at home, 49ers are still getting that point. So I'll take them to win and beat the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson. Like I said, I'm buying into New York football for this week. Made that very clear. For this week. Daniel Jones, I think, is still a liability. Yes, he is. He does have a high completion percentage, generally, but it's within 5 yards usually his passes are. So, of course, his completion percentage would be high. I think the defense on the Cowboys is significantly better than the Giants defense. But Kayvon Thibodeau is going to start his first NFL game in this Monday Night Football game. I think Saquon, he's going to run the ball pretty well. Leonard Fournette in week 1 against the Cowboys, he was able to run the ball very well. I think Saquon will have a pretty good game, and I think that's what's going to get them the win here.
Do you think that Dallas is the best defense the Giants have faced so far?
Yes. Yes, because
that could mean something.
Yes, but then again, do I think right now who's the best? Who's the best defense the Bucs have played? They've played the Saints actually, but
probably the Saints. They gave them the hardest time.
Yeah, but the Saints don't have Micah Parsons though. Micah Parsons is already being compared to Lawrence Taylor, so. I think it's close between the Cowboys and the Saints.
I think it's going to be a very close game.
I think the reason why the Saints game and the Bucs game was so close and they were able to play very well is it just very, very high emotions. Everyone on either side knew
I agree.
that this rivalry, Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore hate each other. Brady, for some reason, does not play. It's kind of like the Miami thing. Brady does not play well against the Saints when he's on the Bucs. He didn't play well against the Dolphins when he was on the Patriots. So I think I think the Cowboys have a better defense. I think this is the best defense the Giants have played. But I just think, you know what? If Leonard Fournette was able to run the ball against the Cowboys, I think Saquon right now is better than Leonard Fournette. At least that's what the stats say. He has more rushing yards thanks to that one game against the Titans. I'm going to take the Giants to win here. I'm believing in New York football here. I'm believing in New York football, which is very weird coming from me because I'm not a Giants fan. But I have to. You know what? The Giants are 2-0. They're going to be 3-0 by the end of this. That's my prediction. But yeah, that wraps up my picks and your picks. The one thing you're changing about it is you're changing the Seahawks pick over to the Falcons. You're doing a Falcons swap.
Yep.
You won't bring the Ravens over. You won't give in to the Ravens.
No, I can't. That's my team. Patriots.
You can be objective though. I'm not saying you have to, always.
I'm always going to pick the Patriots and always pick the Bucs.
I think that's just. You got to be objective. You got to be objective here. You got to face reality and realize that the Patriots aren't as good.
We'll see.
We will see. All right, let's move on to our last topic.
Did you fix my?
No, I'm going to need to fix it on the next one. But
okay,
let's do my hot hand. At the very beginning, you guys already saw that I had this up. But we're going to start off with the first one. Falcons, Seahawks, plus 1.5. The Falcons, you guys saw how the Falcons played against the Rams and how they played against the Saints. They kept the Saints game within 1 point, 27-26, and they almost beat the Rams in week 1. So I'm going to take them to win 24-21 over the Seahawks and have that upset. I was able to bring you over to the side of the right side, I think, and have them win.
You better be right.
You could stay. The show ain't over. You could stay.
No. I'm going to switch.
You're going to switch. Okay. The next one. 49ers at Broncos. Jimmy G wins games. Enough said. Nathaniel Hackett. Bad coaching decisions. He's coaching poorly. There's nothing else to say about that. I think just the 49ers are a better team. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Eli Mitchell's still out, but they can still run the ball pretty well. Jimmy G does not put the ball in harm's way usually. He makes the right throw. He's usually accurate, and he just wins games. He beat Aaron Rodgers last year. He's a slightly above average quarterback. I've said this. He's a slightly above average quarterback. And while we're on the topic of Jimmy G, I'm sure you remember about 6-7 months ago we did the QB or not to be, and Jimmy G was one of the first ones. And my prediction was that he's going to Washington. Well, the report came out yesterday. Actually, yeah, I think it was yesterday, that the 49ers themselves thought Jimmy G was going to go over to Washington. So that was, and then they secretly went over to get Carson Wentz and bring them over. But Jimmy G. Washington was a serious, at least in the 49ers' view, was a serious potential.
I wonder why it didn't happen.
I guess they wanted Carson Wentz instead.
That's weird. I don't know why they want him instead of Jimmy G.
That you would wonder. You would wonder.
Yeah.
But the next one is the Jaguars Chargers. I had the Jaguars Chargers and +7. You know what? That point spread's too high for the way the Jaguars have been playing. Is Doug Peterson doing it? He did it once with Nick Foles. Is he doing it with Trevor Lawrence? I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but they're playing well. The Jaguars are playing surprisingly well. 24-0 over the Colts. That was an embarrassment on the Colts' part. Trevor Lawrence played very well in that game. Even in week 1, he played pretty well. So I'm taking the Jaguars to keep it close, but the Chargers do pull out the win 27-24. I do have the Jaguars, however, covering that +7 spread is huge, especially with Justin Herbert dealing with a cartilage tear or a fractured rib cartilage. So Jaguars lose the game, but cover the 7-point spread 27-24. Chargers do win. The next one. I got the Bucs here. The Bucs in my Harvey hot hand. The reason why I'm choosing the Bucs here is I just think the defense is too good. The defense right now is top 3 in the league. They've given up the least amount of points. I believe they've given up, 13 points so far the entirety of this year. And the Bucs defense is looking really good right now. The past few years, the Bucs defense was somewhat of a liability because the offense was so good. They were usually able to overcome the defense's lack of production, especially in the passing defense game. But luckily, the defense is up now. They're playing really well. They're healthy. Jameis Winston went back to being Jameis Winston, turned the ball over a lot, which I'm sure gave the Bucs a lot of confidence, at least on defense. The offense is lacking right now. A large part due to the fact that the center for the Bucs right now is playing the 3rd game at the center position in his life, and they have a raw first-year rookie as their left tackle if Donovan Smith will not play in this game. So the offensive line is looking bad, but their defense is good enough to overcome. I think the Bucs get a somewhat of a low-scoring victory. I think they win and cover the 1.5 spread. 24-20, Bucs do get the win.
Can I ask you a question about the
Bucs
and your opinion?
What's up?
Now that Todd Bowles is the head coach, do you think that's one of the reasons the Bucs defense is so good?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
So do you think there was something that Arians wasn't letting Todd Bowles do to make his defense better? Because now his defense looks like it's a world beater.
I think it's more so the way what the Bucs were focusing on, at least from the head coach. Bruce Arians was an offensive-minded head coach who focused a lot on the offensive build-up. It was that no risk it, no biscuit, just bombs away, essentially. And that's what, Jameis Winston did throw for 5,100 yards, but he also had 35 turnovers. So I think the focus right now is more on the defense. This is more of a Belichick kind of a thing where the defense is the priority because that's what his expertise was in. Belichick's defensive head coach, best head coach of all time, best defensive head coach of all time, and that actually allowed Brady even said this himself, having that defensive head coach helped him a lot in understanding how to read a defense. So even though Brady, yes, he's 45, he looks like he's aging, but I think that's due to
he looks like he's aging out there?
I think the only reason why it seems that way is because I think the off-the-field stuff is affecting him a lot more than I think people are trying to say.
Yeah.
Because, it's the 2 greatest passions in his life, they're each conflicting with one another. His family wants him to be there, but also football, the passion of football, has always been dragging him on for the past 23 years, or even more than that. So I think it's very difficult. But yes, I do pick, or I guess they backed it up already, but I do pick the Bucs to cover. The last one I'm having here is I'm having the Giants.
Oh.
The Giants in the Harvey hot hand. I have to believe. I'm buying into New York football. This is the reason why I'm buying in is for 2 reasons. One, because they're 2-0, and the Jets have just played a phenomenal game against the Browns, able to come back. But another reason is to show my friends that New York football will never be here to stay. So I'm buying in while I can. It's as simple as that. I'm buying in when I can. So that's somewhat in large part of what's going on right now. I'm buying in when I can for New York football. So I have to pick the Giants to win here. The Giants.
Who the Giants play next week?
I have no idea. I could look it up off the top of my head right now. Let's see. I got to buy in. The Cowboys right now, they have Super Duper Cooper, Daniel Jones, and Cooper Rush. That's going to be a battle of bad quarterbacks. Talk about battle of bad receivers for the Bucs.
Battle of the bad quarterbacks.
The battle of the bad quarterbacks. Yeah, let's see. Who do the Giants play next week? I don't have anyone on the Giants on my fantasy team, so I won't be able to tell you from there. Let's see. I can bring it up right now very, very quickly. No one has Daniel Jones on my fantasy league, so I can just look him up. The Giants next week are playing Chicago. They can start 4-0.
Yeah, it could
They can start 4-0, which that'll be something. They start 4-0, lead the NFC East, the NFC least. I might need to stop calling them that now. If the Giants are going 4-0, and besides, you know what? If the Giants are going 4-0, they might be leading the NFL in record. Just think about that for a second. The Giants, the number 1 seed in the NFL.
Well, they got to get by Dallas first.
They do. They do have to get by Dallas, and it'll definitely be a challenge to see if the Giants could actually do that. But I'm picking them. I have to pick them because New York football's back, at least for week 3.
It's Monday Night Football.
It is. It's Monday Night Football. We'll see how Daniel Jones is playing in the spotlight. I think, like I said before, I think this is going to be more of a Saquon game because I think the defense will create a lot of pressure for Daniel Jones. It seems like Kenny Golladay, after the game against the Panthers, Kenny Golladay, who the Giants have spent a lot of money on, I think he's getting 20-something million a year. His locker was cleaned out. Kenny Golladay himself and his locker was nowhere to be found. And so people were speculating right after the game, well, will he be released by the end of this week? There's been no word on whether or not Kenny Golladay will still be a Giant by the end of this year.
Wow.
It's something that's because he hasn't even caught a touchdown pass for the Giants yet. He's been in there for over a year now. Hasn't caught a
started out
touchdown.
badly. He hasn't played much.
The Giants right now. The coaching's weird because Kadarius Toney seems like a great receiver. He had like 189 yards in one game last year. Barely seen the field. So I'm picking the Giants. I have to pick the Giants. I don't think the Cowboys are all that yet. I think their defense is fine, but Ezekiel Elliott doesn't seem that great. He hasn't seemed that great in the past couple of years.
Pretty good.
Tony Pollard's good, but they're splitting reps.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for one to really explode when you're not getting all the reps that you need to in order for you to explode. So I'm picking the Giants to win and cover the 1.5 spread, 20-17. Is New York football going to stay? It's back right now. Will it stay? Because I both New York teams.
It's been a long time away, that's for sure.
The Jets have never been here. It's been Super Bowl 3 since the Jets have been
terrible for quite a long time too.
It's been 6 years since they had a winning record.
Yeah.
And starting off 2-0. I'm going to look at the rest of the Giants' schedule because I'm actually curious. And they play Green Bay, Baltimore. That's probably going to be their first two losses. Then Jacksonville. Jacksonville's playing pretty well, so I think that'll be a closer game.
At home or away?
At Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And then at Seattle.
They could win that one.
Houston, Detroit. They have a pretty easy schedule.
Detroit will be a tough game.
Oh yeah, I think Detroit. Then at Dallas again, Washington, Philly, Washington. Then at Minnesota, Indy, at Philly. Will the Colts be there by week 17? I don't know. They look despicable.
I'd say the Giants' record is not that bad.
2-0. Yeah,
the record is great. I'm talking about their schedule. Their schedule is not that hard.
The schedule's not that hard, and that's in large part due because how bad the Giants have been over the years.
Yeah,
I don't think they have many prime.
They might win the division. I think the Eagles probably will.
Yeah, the Eagles are going to win the division. The Giants are not going to win that division. Get out of here. Do they have another Thursday night game, or I should say a Thursday night game, at Dallas? Oh, that's in large part due to Dallas. But other than that, they have no primetime game because it's the Giants.
Right.
The Giants. I don't feel like the Giants have had a primetime game in a very, very long time.
Yeah. Well, they have Monday Night Football. That's a primetime game.
And I guess Thursday too.
Thursday's not on regular TV anymore.
Yeah, it's on Prime Video.
Yeah.
So yeah, that basically wraps up today's episode of the Harvey Hour. Baseball playoffs are coming around the corner right now. Aaron Judge almost tied up Roger Maris's record last night on a 400-foot out. I know, right? 404 feet. Usually that's followed by home run. But no, it was an out. And the camera made it seem like it was, it's going to be like a 500-foot home run.
He said, there it goes. It's a walk-off homer. Oops, he caught it. Hernandez catches it.
The camera panned out like it was going to be like above the scoreboard. It was
He
amazing.
didn't even hit the wall. He didn't get to the wall.
It was a 408-foot wall, so it was 4 feet away from being out. It would have been a home run.
No, but it wasn't high enough to be a homer. Kike was right back
Well,
there.
no.
He caught it here. He didn't even have to reach up.
Right. But in 13 out of 30 MLB stadiums, that would have been a home run.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be something. I guess Tuesday we have I think we have a packed show on Tuesday. What Thursday was it? Tuesday,
We'll
week
be
3.
recapping all of our wins.
Recapping all the wins and losses. I'm trying to think what else we have going. I have my quarterly change the arrangement of quarterbacks and team categories, which teams are, Super Bowl winners, for first contenders, number 1 seed contenders, playoff teams, division winners, maybe bad teams and disappointments. I'm sure I'll figure out that segment's called Nate's Notches. And my top 10 quarterbacks, this will be updated. Like I said, in the preseason, I got a lot of hate off camera for that top 10 list. It's a fluid list, as Stephen A. Smith says. It's fluid. Well, guess what? We're going to have a lot of moving here. And I'm sure I'm going to redeem a lot of people with my list just because of, what? We didn't see it.
You wouldn't think that the top 10 list right now, just based on the actual performances, is pretty unexpected.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to be saying, Nate, what the hell are you thinking? But trust me. Don't worry. Joe Flacco and Carson Wentz will not be on my top 10 list. I can guarantee that right now. They're not top 10 quarterbacks. But I do
Daniel Jones.
Come on, I'm trying to be serious here.
Mac Jones?
No, Mac Jones, no. I can't put Mac Jones in my top 10.
Geno Smith? Davis Mills?
Davis Mills, hey, I don't know Davis Mills' exact stats, but you know what? Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
I don't think he's top 10.
I gotta do an in-depth look. I know for a fact that Tom Brady will not be number 1. Russell Wilson will not be top 5. Tua will be entering. Lamar will be entering. Derek Carr will be dropping out of my top 10 just because he's been a disappointment. Lamar Jackson is entering the top 10. Lamar Jackson's he's. You know what? I'll even give a spoiler. He's entering the top 5. The top 5. I'm sure everyone can guess who the number 1 quarterback is.
That run he had last week? Wow.
This was a 79. He's the first quarterback in history to have a 79-yard run. Well, there's no safeties. They did like an all-out blitz or whatever. There's no safeties, so it wasn't tremendously hard because you didn't need to juke anyone. There was a hole. You just got to keep running through the hole. You didn't need to worry about a safety down there.
He went through there like a rocket.
Well, that's what Lamar's doing. Lamar's shooting out like a rocket. But yeah, I'm sure everyone can guess who the number 1 quarterback in the league is right now. Do you have any guess? Number 1 quarterback.
Number 1 quarterback.
The fact that you're thinking about this hard.
Aaron Rodgers.
I got to think about whether he's top 10 right now. That's gonna be difficult. Come on.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen. Spoiler alert: Josh Allen is the number 1. But yeah, the rest of the top 10 will be released Tuesday.
I would say Mahomes is not far behind.
Yeah, no, he's still top 3. He's still top 3. I got to figure out the list. It's gonna be it's gonna be a weird list just because the NFL right now is a very weird league at the moment. You had the Jaguars shutting out the Colts.
The passing stats are not up there very high. The total yards of the number 1 quarterback. How many yards is it total?
713, I think, from Tua.
After 3 games.
Well, after 2 games.
2 games for him, yeah.
So I mean that's not. I mean that's still like
that's pretty good.
That's like 350 yards per game.
Yeah, so that's good. But the rest of them, it falls off fast.
I think it drops to 600 after that, and that's Carson Wentz, and then 613, I believe, for Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
So
you wouldn't have expected those 3 to be up there at the top.
Tua, Carson Wentz, and Joe Flacco round out your top 3. It's a weird league. So my top 10 list, you know what? It's gonna be a weird top 10 list just because that's what the NFL is right now. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, we're going to wrap it up, unless you have anything else you want to talk about, Dad.
No, I think I'm good. I'm looking forward to the games on Sunday. It's a fun season so far.
Trying to improve our records there. You, against the spread is difficult, man. Against the spread is very, very difficult.
Just the win-loss, I'm not doing well.
I think you have a losing record in win-loss. So, yeah, we're going to wrap up today's episode of the Harvey Hour. Thank you all for tuning in to today's show. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern for, it's going to be a pretty packed show. I have a lot planned for Tuesday, so make sure you guys tune in. 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday recap all the games, potentially.
Enjoy the weekend, everyone.
Absolutely. Enjoy the weekend. Cadence game, top 10 list, so much more.
Go
Yeah.
Patriots.